Stop. Before you scroll past this, count with me. 4 times, 4 separate times, God stepped directly into your path and stopped you, and you called it bad luck. Chosen one, I need you to hear this while there is still time to hear it. The door that slammed shut right before it opened. The delay that made no sense. The loss that felt like punishment. And that restlessness you cannot pray away. The one sitting in your chest right now. As you listen to these words tonight, remember that those 4 times you failed were actually 4 times you were tried, and failed by a God who was never rejecting you, only rerouting you. You already understand what 4 times I'm talking about. Even though your mind wouldn't, your spirit kept track of them. But this should wake you up tonight. You didn't pay attention to those warnings until it was too late, after the fact. Why? It's not that you are careless or spiritually deaf, but that something in your ability to receive has been blocked for years. And before this message ends, I'll show you what it is, why it's not your fault, and how the first 3 attempts went by without your knowledge. Pay close attention. A wall was the first sign. The last one is a whisper. God doesn't speak louder when His chosen ones are around. He speaks less loudly because you have to lean in to whisper. You will know what those 4 attempts were meant to keep you safe in a few minutes. Once the real reason why you missed the warnings is revealed, you will no longer have to blame yourself for years. You will also know exactly what to do before the day ends. 3 promises to help you understand, to free your heart, and to give you a key. This isn't anger at you. Let this Father fight for you. Don't forget about the 4th one. Right now, let me show you that I'm not talking about general things. I will name a pattern in your life that is so clear that you will wonder how a stranger could know about it. Things don't fail in your life at first. In the end they fail. At the very end. The job that didn't go through in the final interview. The breakup that happened in the month that everything was supposed to get better. My plan worked great for 90% of the way, but a mile from the finish line, it hit something I couldn't see. You've seen this happen so many times that you have a small belief that it is true. A worry that you are marked in some way. That everything you build will be taken away at the last minute. You've told yourself 3 different ways to understand it. It could be bad luck, a spiritual attack, or the most painful reason, which you don't tell anyone else. It could be me. That could be my fault. Take a moment to write down all 3 explanations. They will not work after you learn this. There is an old pattern that is written in the Bible and proven by thousands of lives. Giving up at the finish line is not sabotage at all. It's steering. At the very last second, someone put their hand on the wheel and turned the car away from a road that looked perfect but wasn't. This pattern has a name. Something in your chest will loosen up for the first time in years when you hear it. I'll tell you that name right now. And I'll also show you why this explanation is the only one that makes sense based on the evidence you have. If you felt like something leaned closer, that wasn't a mistake. And I want you to remember this. Because that's what heaven has been waiting to see from you. Type, I am still listening, in the comments right now. Not a great record, just an ear turned. Let's take a close look at each of the 4 attempts, since they were all fake in some way. When they tried for the first time, the door slammed shut, not gently. Something you prayed for, something you wanted, and something that was almost in your hands wouldn't open. No matter how hard you tried. You knocked on that door so many times that your knuckles hurt for a lot longer than you should have. because you were sure that persistence was faith. The second try took longer than the first. You were not turned down by the thing. It kept moving. It's always just one condition away, 6 more months or 1 more year. The most confusing of the 4 is delay, because it keeps hope alive while slowly draining it. And you saw that draining as a test of your endurance. On the 3rd try it failed. It felt like someone or something was taken from your life without your permission, and it was theft. You were sad about it. You might still be sad about it in some way. The 4th try, which is happening right now, started with unrest, a feeling of being antsy for no clear reason. Even though your life seems to be going well, there is a quiet hum of something not quite right that has been there all along and hasn't gone away with any amount of distraction. You're here tonight because of that hum. The whisper is that hum. Think about the last time you drove at night on a long road. Before you knew it, you had passed exits on that road that would have led you to bad places. They'll never be known by their names. It was safe for you to drive right by them. Now, understand this. You didn't miss any exits on the 4 tries. They were the walls that kept you from getting in. You are not dreaming if your heart is beating a little differently after listening for a few minutes. A lot of people never think about this message for long enough to feel that change. You stayed. That alone tells me what kind of listener you are. Okay, let's open the first gift in this message the right way. Let's give it a name. A certain pain has been with you for years. The pain of seeing other people go through doors that always shut behind you. They look like they glide. You look like you grind. They are let through. You are stopped, searched, held up, and then turned around. In a deep, unspoken way. You finally came to the conclusion that God trusts them more than He trusts you. That the fact that you stopped shows that He doesn't like it. I want you to know straight out that you have been reading the evidence backward. Just think about what it takes to stop. People don't stop parked cars. No one changes the route of a traveler who has nowhere to go. It is only possible to intercept something that is moving, has momentum, and has a path that matters. People who can walk through any door without being stopped are often going down roads that don't lead anywhere important enough to guard. But things are handled differently when you have a task to do. People watch it. The mistake is fixed. It stops, sometimes very hard, because the main goal is too important to risk taking the wrong road. In the deeper faiths, there is an old phrase that means this. It was called a harsh mercy by the old writers. Slow down. The harsh mercy. A kindness that doesn't feel like kindness when it hits you. A kindness that dresses up as a disaster. The door that slammed was both harsh and kind. The delay that made you tired was long and kind. You lost someone very close to you, and I know this is hard to hear, but bear with me. Even that was kindness. You will see for yourself why before this message ends. This is how the harsh mercy will change the way you tell your own story. It seemed like your past was full of failures. 4 exhibits that showed you were flawed. But look at that museum differently this time. The closed door is the first proof. How much do you really know about what happened now that years have passed? If you are being honest, you have almost always learned something new about that job, that person, that city, or that deal that has made you quietly breathe a sigh of relief. Showing 2 things: the delay. What did you need to be ready for back then that you are now? The 3rd thing is the loss. What happened in your life or in you that couldn't have happened while that thing was there? You're not the person who failed 4 times. You are the person who was saved 4 times but never saw the water. That's not poetry at all. That is the most accurate account of the last few years that anyone has ever given you. And if you want to cry right now, do it. If your grief was caused by a wrong reading, it should go away when you realize what you were reading was wrong. You were not turned down. That's where you were sent. We didn't forget about you. You were watched. Say that to yourself over and over until it doesn't sound strange anymore. Also, I want you to do something with this truth while it is still warm because it is so important. Kindness, not punishment, should be typed somewhere in the comments below. Just 4 words. Because once you say the pattern's name out loud, it can't ever again make itself look like rejection. If someone reads those 4 words tomorrow, their eyes will be stuck in the same mistake you just got out of. What you said might be the first thing that stops them. Don't take a breath yet. Please click the like button on this video. It's not just a nice thing to do to like something. It starts God's favor flowing into your life. When you publicly accept the word, heaven responds by putting more grace and alignment in your path. As a sign of faith, click that like button. Take a moment to breathe. What you've heard so far is real, but it's not all of it yet. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community, through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site, you are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community, seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today, join our community, and see what God brings back into your life. The harsh mercy makes sense of the 4 attempts. The strangest part of your story is still not explained. It doesn't say why you missed them. But tonight's harsh mercy is only the beginning. And to be honest, it's the easier half. Right now, you should be getting a question. And it's the right question. The one this whole message is meant to answer. If those first 3 attempts were really from God, why didn't you see them at the time? Why could I only read every warning after the fact, when it was too late to do anything about it? If God wanted to change your path, He would want you to actually accept the change. So why did 3 attempts in a row go by like radio waves going through a broken receiver? Think about how strange that is. You are not careless, you say prayers. You pay attention. You have wanted to hear from God all your adult life, and at times you have wanted it very badly. Still, 3 different interventions happen in your life, and you didn't see any of them in real time. If it were a hearing test, it wouldn't say that the sound was missing. There was sound. The answer would tell you something specific about the listening device. This question has an answer. You might not like this answer, but it's freeing, because it takes the fault line out of your own character. It wasn't your disobedience or your distraction that made those 3 warnings go away. Something changed the way you could perceive things, and it started long before you had any control over it. It was so specific that scientists have measured it, and it was so quiet that you never even thought about it. Early writers used words for harsh mercy, but for what I'm about to show you, we need words that they didn't have, because they bring together old knowledge and new discoveries. The things I'm about to show you have been seen in research settings. There is a known reason for this, and it gives a very clear picture of how a sincere person can live through 3 divine interventions and not hear any of them. What was wrong was never that God stopped talking. What went wrong with your receiver is the problem. That means we need to talk about your faith, not your receiver. Your faith has never been the weak link in this story. I'm talking about the tools that support your faith, the organ that helps you perceive, the part of you that should be able to pick up on a signal as soon as it comes through. Not 3 years from now when you look back. It's been so long that you think living with a jammed receiver is normal, that you don't even notice it. Let me describe how it feels. When you walk into a room, you forget why you came. You read 3 times the same paragraph, and don't remember anything. The mood of a room can be picked up in half a second. That's how sensitive you are. Still, you can hear the clear inner nudge that says, "Do not sign this. Do not stay here. Wait." But you can only hear it after the consequences have already happened. When you pray, there are times when it feels like you're talking through a wall of static. Your spirit knows the difference. There is a transmission. There is a problem with the way something is getting through. The way you told yourself that is shown below. You told yourself that other people should pray more, fast longer, and believe more sincerely than you do, because you are not following through with your promises. Some nights, you thought that God only talked to other people and didn't say anything to you. And you turned a problem with being second class into a theology of being second class. I need you to hear the denial very well. That's not a good reason. Each and every word. Here is the method that no one told you about. A mood is not how you feel. Perception is based on an instrument, and instruments have rules that they must follow. A radio doesn't need the signal to get better. It needs its own circuitry that is clean, quiet, and tuned well enough to separate the signal from the noise. If you watch a little kid for an afternoon, you will see a person whose puzzle piece is still whole. They hear the bird on the far wire, the change in your voice, and even what you thought you were hiding. From the time we were kids, we all lived in a state of open, undivided reception. Then came years of noise, stress, screens, sadness, survival, and 10,000 small alarms. And the thing that used to catch everything learned to split in 2, with one half always bracing, and the other half always somewhere else. The signs kept going off. They kept coming in, but they were filed away without being heard, which is why they show up later as hindsight. Looking back is not the same as becoming wise late. When you look back, you can finally process in the quiet of later what it was too busy to process at the time. People can write a name for this hidden state, the jammed receiver. The warnings were always there. They were hard to hear. Think about what that does to your past. You were helped by 3 people, and the record now reads very differently. Not ignored, but muddled. Not a hard heart, but a heavy instrument. Never were you the one who wouldn't listen. You were the one listening through static that was built up over many years of modern life, long before you knew there was anything to hear. If something in your chest opened up while I was talking, do something about it now. Right now type, "My receiver is open," in the comments. This is because reception starts with saying, "I'm ready to receive." And heaven rewards the person who says this before the repair, not after. A very old Hebrew word, shema, is used to mean hearing in the Bible. And this is something that almost no one tells you about it. Shema doesn't mean to hear something. There is no break between hearing and responding in the original language. To listen is to answer. They are both in the same word, so when the ancient text says, "O people," it's not asking for attention. They're talking about a state of the whole person, like an instrument that is so unbroken that life starts to turn as soon as a signal comes in. You were made for that state. Please use this to do the following while your receiver warms up. Bring something to write with you for the next 7 days. Write down any push, pull, unease or warning you feel right away. Don't judge it, just write it down. It's not a test of God. You are teaching an instrument to find signals in real time instead of after the fact. And by day 7, you'll have physical proof of how much has been coming in all along. Before we go any further, I need to stop and hold something out in front of you. Something new was found about this condition over the past few years in places where most spiritual people never hear of research. It took decades of work by a doctor in New York and a small group of neuroscientists to figure out what happens to the human instrument of perception when modern life puts stress on it, why it dims in almost everyone, and what would have to be done to fix it. Their discovery comes from a finding that was so important that it won the highest scientific award. What they found will be in the next part of this message, at the right time, because it deserves it. Keep this question with you for now. What if the fog you've lived in isn't really you, but something that was done to you? And what if it can be fixed? You need to wait to answer that question until you meet a man who beat his own rescue 3 times in a row. You need to watch him do it because he is you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. An old story talks about a prophet named Balaam. He was offered money by a king to go down a road and curse a group of people that God had blessed. Balaam put a saddle on his donkey and rode, because the money and honor were real. The thing Balaam couldn't see was that the road he really wanted led to death. A God-sent messenger stood in the way with a sword drawn. And the old text says something very interesting. It says that the messenger stood in the middle of the road as a foe. Think about your own life as you read that again. It's not always your enemy that is getting in the way of your plans. There are times when the opposition is the mercy. The prophet couldn't see what the donkey did. She went off the road and into a field. Balaam hit her and pulled her back to keep her safe. After a while, the path got narrow between 2 stone walls. The messenger stood over there once more. To get away from him. The donkey pushed against the wall and crushed the man's foot. He then hit her again. There was no way to turn around after that, because the path got so narrow. The animal just laid down under him. A living refusal and a third interception. When something kept getting in the way of Balaam's progress, he got his staff out and hit her a third time. After 3 stops, 3 rescues, and 3 beatings, what came next? When the 4th try came around and his eyes finally opened, I'll show you in a moment. Because it needs to be given to you at the right time. God did the same thing for you tonight that He did for that man on the narrow road. Take a break from the story for a moment. And let me ask you something kinder. You have been hearing for a while. A lot of people skipped this message in the first 8 seconds. Most of the people who stayed left when it asked them to be honest about their past. You're still here. That's not a joke. That's how someone acts when the season is really changing. Also, I want you to feel how it feels to just sit and be talked to about your real life, without any pressure. There is no more getting in the way of this moment. Remember how you felt. That's proof. We need to deal with the force that made Balaam swing that staff, because it's still alive in you. And tonight the third thing needs to be named. This is the sign. After every door in your life shut, there was something inside you that didn't grieve and think again. It went twice as far. The message said, push harder, send the message again, reapply. Rebuild the same plan with better bricks. After every failure, you feel a strong sense of urgency that makes you hot and unable to sleep. It feels like passion, it feels like calling. It even says prayers. But pay attention to one strange thing. It always sounds loudest right after the door shuts. The world has praised you for what you called urgency, determination. The lie tonight is easy to understand. That particular sense of urgency is not your calling talking. It was never there. This is how it works. Vision can be a mask for fear of wasting years. When a door shuts on something you've worked hard for, it's hard to believe that the work is over. In other words, it makes a fake green light. All of that makes you feel like God and fills you with adrenaline, urgency, and plans. The thought of letting go of those years makes me feel like I'm going to die. This is what we call the fake green light. The reflex is what made the donkey lose. One test can tell the difference between real calling and fake urgency. Real calling lasts through silence. It's impossible for the fake to be still for 10 minutes without getting anxious. Since worry is all it ever was. Put your history through that test, and you'll see how the years fall into place again. How many of the seasons you pushed through the hardest, the ones that cost you sleep, relationships, and peace, were filled with quiet joy? How many were filled with the fear of having wasted time? That wasn't stubborn of you. You were scared. You also never learned the difference between a fire that warms and one that burns down the house. Think back to a certain night when you sat at the table after the door shut and worked on the same plan until 3 a.m., your heart racing. You called it faith. You now understand what really happened at that table. You were trying to buy back lost years with a new sense of urgency, because you were scared. Show kindness to that person. They did their best with a green light that they didn't know was fake. If you remember nothing else from tonight, just that difference will save you 10 years. Do one small thing with me right now as an action, not a thought. Think about the plan you've been pushing, the one that has your marks on it. Picture it as a physical thing in your hands, like a folded map that is worn down at the folds. It's been in your hands for so long that they're shaped around it. put it on the table in front of God slowly now. Do not set it on fire. Do not tear it. Now put it down and open your hands wide. Feel the strange lightness in your palms. Your eyes should hurt right now because you're doing it right. Your body has been waiting years for that release. You can type, "I stop pushing now," below. If you just put something down, because a public surrender is stronger than a private one. Someone else needs to see tonight that those 4 words can get through it. Remember to keep your hands empty, because a receiver can't hold both a signal and a fight at the same time. Everything that comes after, the opened eyes on the narrow road, the fog signs, and the whisper that is meant for you, only lands in open hands. Please share this word from the prophet with someone who needs to hear it. Sharing turns on the anointing, and lets your network know about the breakthrough. God wants to intercept them through your obedience, just like He did with you. Now share this video with someone, and see how God changes their life because you asked them to. The prophet is still lying down next to his donkey. His eyes are about to open, and yours will too when they open. The prophet's eyes were then opened by God. That's the 4th moment, and I told you we'd stand here together. He saw what she had been seeing the whole time. When he looked up from the animal he was beating. He had been running as fast as he could toward death, the messenger, and the drawn sword. The next few words should have been written over the last 10 years. I would have killed you and spared her, if she hadn't turned away from me. Feel how dizzy that sentence makes you. He was only alive, because of all the things the prophet had cursed as problems. The turn into the field that made him look bad. The hurt foot that made him angry. And the animal lying in the road, that made him look bad in front of God. After 3 interceptions and 3 beatings, the 4th try was made. Watch what the 4th try was too. The wall wasn't bigger. It opened my eyes. That's what the number 4 in your title tonight means. And it changes everything about what you're excited about. The first 3 times they tried, they blocked the wrong road. The right one is shown by the 4th one. God doesn't want to stop you again in the same way He did the first time. This is the 4th try sight. Also, think about what Balaam was like at the time. He wasn't on his knees in a church. He was very angry and had his staff raised. He was standing in the mess of his own plans, mad at the thing that had saved him. No one would ever see God wait for perfect posture. Since He opens His eyes in the middle of the mess, your mess right now doesn't count against you. This is the exact place where 4th attempts happen. Which brings us to the question you should be asking. If 3 times the wrong road has been blocked, where is the right one? You were so interested in the closed doors that you forgot to look at what they pointed to. So, let's go over the symptom one more time. For some reason, you think you have no idea what to do with your life. You often say, "If God would just tell me what He wants, I would do it." Your calling feels like it's being kept from you, like a secret that He won't share. Also, the belief that there is no denial is false. There was never any doubt about the direction. It was written where you don't want to look. It was written on the broken things. This may be the most useful thing you hear tonight. This is how it works. Interceptions don't happen by chance. They look like something. Put your 4 attempts, the closed door, the delay, the loss, and the unrest, next to each other and ask them one question. The map will show up. This is the question. What survived all 4? Something in your life stayed the same during each collapse. A pull that didn't go away. A kind of work that you could do in any season. a burden for some people that never went away, even when plans failed. The collapses took everything that could be changed. But they missed the one thing that could not be changed. That thing that can't be touched isn't a coincidence. The whole route was meant to protect the cargo. We call this the fourth kindness. The first kindness stops you. You can't go past the second mercy. You are stopped by the third mercy. The fourth grace tells you why and gives you the map that your own surviving desire made. This time, write the record again. For all those years, you thought God wasn't talking to you about your purpose. But He was. He was talking to you in the language of what lasts. You never had no idea what to do. You had an ink-written map that you hadn't learned how to read yet of yourself. Do this right tomorrow during the day with paper. For the 4 tries, draw 4 columns. Write what it took from you under each one. Then write what none of them could handle under all of that. For some, that line means teaching. For another, it says, building things that last longer than I do. For another, they can't stop seeing a certain type of broken person. Anything that lasts through 4 collapses has been put through more tests than anything else you own. Trust what has been tried. It's okay to close your eyes for a moment. Let me show you what's on the other side of reading it. It's just another morning, maybe in 2 years. You wake up before your alarm goes off, and there's no fear in your chest. Because the work that's waiting for you has been through everything. There is a strange lack of friction in your day. It's not that your problems have gone away. It's because you are finally rowing with the current instead of against it. You hear yourself say, I did not find it. It was the only thing left standing, and I finally turned toward it. That morning already exists as a seed. The seed is tonight. You need to hear something now, chosen one, that most messages like this would never say. We're only halfway there. The harsh mercy, the receiver that got jammed, the fake green light, and the fourth mercy have all been diagnosed so far. A diagnosis is very helpful, but it has never healed anyone on its own. If you want to know what to do about a muffled receiver, and what a lab in New York found out about fixing it, the bigger part of tonight's show is still to come. As I speak, I want to close a loop that has been open since the beginning of this message. The ground we are about to cross is the ground people testify about afterward. I told you that scientists had written down what happens to the human senses, and I asked you to bring a question. What if the fog was done to you? What if it's possible to fix? I didn't go back to it until now for a reason. You can only understand what a solution means once you know what the problem is in its entirety. You thought fog was just fog when we started. You now know it was a jammed receiver that sent 3 divine warnings back in time. Now that you know what the shape is, you can finally hear the answer. But before I give it to you, think of one honest question. That question will tell you if tonight changes anything. Why does knowing all of this not make anything happen? There have been times when you really got it. That time you cried over a message, and by Thursday after that, the fog had swallowed it up. Why does insight keep going away? Why is it that clarity never quite turns into action? The answer is not in how hard you try. You are not trained to do that. You haven't looked there yet. And tonight is the last night it will be open. Before I show you any pictures, let me say everything in plain English. You deserve to see exactly what you hold in your hands. What do you now know that you didn't know an hour ago? You were safe from roads you couldn't see the end of during the 4 collapses of your last few years. You didn't hear the first 3 warnings, because you aren't spiritually weak. but because the hearing aid you inherited has been clogged, split, and fogged by decades of modern noise. Because you didn't want to waste years pretending to be called, you pushed doors shut quickly. And no one ever guessed where you were going. It can be read on the one thing that has survived every collapse. From tonight on, you can do these things. Write down every nudge for 7 days so the person you're nudging can learn again in real time. Before you give in to a burning urge, put it through the stillness test. And make a list of the things that made it through your 4 collapses. That list will be your map. This is who you are in all of this. You are not the person who failed 4 times and was stopped. You are the carrier whose goods were important enough to make 4 stops. The one that was caught. The one whose path is watched over because the goal is important. Claim that identity where it can be seen if you can feel it to be true right now. In the comments type, "I claim the turn." Not as a nice phrase, but as a message. Heaven writes down signatures. Also, if you don't want to miss another word like this, you can subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe, God's prophetic promise and alignment are brought into your life. It puts you in a good position to get the next break, interception, or turn. So click that button to subscribe right now. That's what you've been. That's not the person you have to stay with. Being clear is real, but it's not restoration by itself. You know this because you've been clear before and seen the fog cover it up again. Here is the answer. Do you still remember the question I told you to hold? What if the fog isn't you but something that was done to you? And what if it can be fixed? The answer is here, and it is the most important answer in science. A scientist named Dr. Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize in 1981 for proving something about your head that sounds like it came from the Bible. He showed that your brain doesn't have just one hemisphere. It has 2 separate parts called hemispheres that work together. How well your 2 hemispheres work together affects how clearly you see things, how creative you are, and how connected you feel. Then, they found something that should stop you in your tracks. When researchers looked at the synchrony, they found that about 98% of young children have what they called creative genius levels of brain function. 98% of the people who heard the teacher from Galilee talking about who gets the kingdom were children. They were the ones who noticed everything. And less than 1 person in 1,000 still has it when they are an adult. It's not that adults are bad, but that modern life, with its stress, screens, fear, and noise, pulls the 2 hemispheres out of sync every year, until the instrument that used to hold everything together is split. Pay close attention. The fog was never your character. The fog is a measurable loss of physical sync, and it happened to you so slowly that you thought it was getting older, being lazy, or being far away from God. Researchers have called it one of the biggest thefts of our lifetime that has never been looked into. They say that we lost our power so early and so slowly that almost no one ever files a complaint. It's not a plot by bad guys, but by conditions, and the outcome is the same. The instrument you were praying, listening to, and making decisions with was only working at a small part of its full potential during all 4 attempts. A woman from California talked about the other side of this. And the nurse kept hitting the same wall, no matter what her community had to offer, like prayer, writing in a journal, meditation, or any other practice. Every word she prayed came true, but she couldn't feel anything. It was like her life was happening behind glass. The static went away, and she said it felt like a channel that had been closed for years was now open. It wasn't because she finally tried hard enough. The receiver had been fixed. Something from a man from Texas was more direct. As a business owner and father of two, he carried everyone around him on a mind that he knew wasn't working at full capacity. He prayed words that felt like they hit the ceiling. He woke up 2 weeks after the static stopped, and the fog that had been there so long he had stopped noticing it was gone. He said it exactly: his mind was finally working on everything it was meant to work on. Two different people, one identical turning point. Both of them found it because of the work that the Nobel Prize team in New York did for years. That's where we'll go next. An American group of neuroscientists led by Dr. Daniel Barron spent years asking one question: if the two hemispheres of the brain drift out of sync in almost all adults, is it possible to bring them back into sync the way they were as children? Whole brain activation methods were used in specialized settings, but the clinical protocols were long, expensive, and out of reach for most people. So, his team took more than an hour of clinical neural sync work, and, over the course of years of cutting it down and making it better, turned it into a single 8-minute targeted audio sequence that people listen to every day, with headphones on and eyes closed. That's all you need to do physically. The smart switch is what they call it. The Genius Switch is not an app for meditation, nor is it a generic soundtrack that says it will improve your mood with nice sounds. It is a precise instrument based on Dr. Sperry's Nobel Prize-winning research. Its only goal is to reconnect the two hemispheres and return the brain to the state it was in when you were a child, when you noticed everything. If you've tried other listening tools in the past and didn't feel anything, Dr. Barone is honest about that. Most of them only talk about a small part of the bigger picture, which was never going to be enough. His team's work affects the whole instrument, with both hemispheres working in sync with each other. This is a completely different mechanism, and a different mechanism leads to a different kind of result. You don't have to work hard at it. You don't say things over and over or try to keep your mind quiet. It works without you being aware of it while you rest. That might be the nicest thing in this message, for someone who has spent years tired of techniques that made their mind work harder when it was already tired. Both of your objections are coming up, and you should be honest about them. There is a point to the first one when it says, "I have tried everything already: courses, practices, tracks, teachers. Everything you did asked your divided mind to fix itself," which is like telling a broken radio to send out its own repair instructions. In the other direction, this works. It talks about the instrument first, not the work. Some people say, "This sounds too easy to be true." But think about what you learned tonight. The fog was put there by years of normal noise, so you didn't have to do anything. Why would you think that fixing the damage would be hard when it wasn't? It was quiet in the lock. It makes sense that the key is also quiet. I need to be careful with what I say next, though, because it's not for everyone. This is for the person God chose, who knows that He put together not only a calling, but also the mind that must carry it. The person who has been honest for years, done the work, and kept calling back, even when the evidence wasn't working. This person is finally ready to stop seeing the fog as a flaw in their character and start seeing it as something real. Most people who hear this will move on. They have come to terms with the smaller version of their mind being permanent. You're still here. You are still here, after all that has been asked of you tonight. The kind of person this was made for is one who is persistent. Know what it would mean for other people beside yourself. The research team saw something that should be very important to a certain person. A mind that is in sync doesn't keep things to itself. It changes how you talk to your kids, how you hold your marriage together, and how a room feels when you're there. The whole house can hear better when one receiver in a family comes back online. Everything that was stolen from you in your brain was also stolen from everyone that came after you. Things get better in the same direction. Let me tell you how much it costs now, since the numbers speak for themselves. People who worked with Dr. Barron saw what the sequence did, and told him it would be worth $500. They weren't lying, the alternatives cost that much. Neurofeedback done in person costs about $300 for an hour. The machines for home use cost $7,000. That was all turned down by his team. Not $500, not $200, not $100. It cost $49 when it came out. There is also an extra 10 off on the page linked below this message today. The 39. The one movie night with snacks that will change the way you listen to music for the rest of your life. Along with it, they sent 4 gifts. The creator of this guided visualization is one of the most popular ones on the Calm app. It takes you through your new life with money, love, health, and happiness. A smart grocery list of the 10 common American foods that make the fog worse, along with 5 shopping hacks that save families over $100 a month. A classic book on manifestation that is more than 100 years old. Why half of the things people teach today work the way they do. You can print out the page with the 5 habits that will help you build a perfect future, and put it somewhere you will see it every morning. Then they get rid of the last reason. There is a money-back guarantee that covers everything. If it doesn't help you like it has helped more than 18,000 other people, you can get your money back. Please listen once, twice, or 80 times. There are no conditions. Not a question. They are taking on all the risk, which tells you a lot about how the team feels about what they made. And the practice doesn't ask much of you. 8 minutes whenever you have time, like for coffee in the morning, or some quiet time before bed. You don't need to clear your mind, believe anything special, or do anything. You won't lose anything if you miss a day. You just come back. Once upon a time, you didn't have to become a disciplined athlete before getting help because you were tired. When they get to you, you're lying down with your eyes closed. Once you choose it, it will be sent right away to your email. Not having to ship or wait, it's yours for life. One word of warning, spoken straight out because you deserve to be safe. There are tracks with similar names that you can find if you search for this on the internet for free. The researchers looked at them and found that most of them did not use neural sync engineering because it is free to copy a label. The only thing that matters is the mechanism, which can be found on the verified page, in the comment below, and in the pinned comment. If what you've heard makes sense to your spirit, that's where it will stay. You can read every detail there before making a choice. Listen to this before we go one step further. The tool doesn't stand in for God. It doesn't wait for you to pray, obey, or give up for you. God's work in your life was never dependent on any one instrument. But when you fix your receiver, God's work does more of what it was meant to do. That's all there is to it. Now, let's go back to the deeper current of this night. The most important minutes are still to come. Check something with me before we get to the end. Take a look at your shoulders now. They came down from behind your ears sometime in the last hour. Take note of how slowly your breath is moving now compared to when you first got here. Take note of how much lighter the area in your chest is where the 4 attempts used to feel like stones. Along with your mind, your body has been getting this message. Allow it. Being soft is not the same as being sleepy. It's the way you stand to receive. Right now, before this message ends, I want to speak a blessing over your life that looks like ascending. Please receive it with all your heart. But it can only land on someone who has answered the question we've been asked all night, which means we need to answer it now. When is it your turn? Not when, how. This is the last symptom. Even now, a part of you wants to wait, to think about all of this, to see one more confirmation, sign, or alignment before you move. It feels like a duty. There is something that says it is wisdom, patience, discernment, and the refusal to accept that waiting is not wisdom right now. When the signal isn't clear, wisdom waits. But you haven't been waiting for clarity tonight. It's been coming to you for an hour. That which comes after clarity is called something else, fear dressed as caution. The old languages remembered things that we have forgotten. The Greeks had 2 words for time. Chronos is the time of clocks and calendars. It's the long, gray line of one day following another. Kairos is the appointed moment. It's the split second when heaven's door opens, and everything that wasn't possible on Tuesday is now possible. Chronos is taken care of. Kairos has been answered. And this is the mechanism that decides fates. Thunder doesn't mark the start of a Kairos moment. They come in quietly, dressed like any other evening. It's like a message you almost missed, an unease you can't explain, or a whisper that you need to hone in on. The 4th try is not going to happen someday. It's inside you. The inside of a Kairos window shows this chaos, this message, and this hour. This is the Kairos turn, moment, map, mercy. And the restored receiver all point in the same direction. The only thing that can change is your choice to move or not. So, put one last part of your history in a new light. All the times you knew the truth, felt the fire, and let Thursday take it. Those were also not character flaws. There is no way for a jammed receiver to hold a Kairos moment. It gets signals and sends them out. You aren't listening through the same instrument tonight though, and you can tell. This one has the handle. Hold it there. That's the whole instruction. Kairos does not come up with a 5-year plan. The next obedient inch is the answer. Tonight there is one list, one test, and one choice. One last time, let me show you the far side of the turn. Not 2 years from now, however. There is a full table. Some of the faces around it are of people you haven't met yet. But they found their way, because you finally walked the road that kept going after your 4 falls. Someone at that table asks you what year things changed, and you won't say. You will name a night. You stopped calling your interceptions bad luck, and stopped beating the donkey. It was just another night. You put the old map on the table and turned. It's easy for you to play tonight for your turn. One list of what made it through, one test of urgency based on stillness, and one quiet choice about the door below, made with an open mind and a clear eye. And if the genius changes the piece that your spirit has been pointing to throughout this whole message, don't let it go away on Thursday. There is a link in both the description and the comment that was pinned. While the window is still warm, go there before you close this message. More than 18,000 people did that walk, not in the end, but now. You've come a long way tonight, so before I send you off, I want to tell you the truth about what's going to happen. In a few minutes, I'll tell you out loud, in words that will stick in your mind, who you are from now on. After that, I'll seal this message. Between here and there, we still need to take care of one more thing. It's the most important one. You are no longer an audience if you have stayed this long. This message is here because of you. Don't drift now then. This is the part that people carry for years. Before the ceremony, I want to talk about a woman who, for reasons I won't go into, heard a message that sounded a lot like this one 3 winters ago. When her 4th attempt caused her a lot of trouble she couldn't explain. In 4 years, she had lost a business, a friend, and a city. She thought each loss was proof that she was cursed. She did the one small thing the message told her to do that night. She made a list of what made it through. One line looked back at her, a pull toward taking care of old people that had never been touched by a fall. 1 inch at a time, she turned toward it, scared and foggy. Today, she runs 3 homes with people that no one else wanted. If you ask her, she'll say that her whole life was hiding the one thing that her failures couldn't handle. I'm not telling you her story as a promise with a due date. I'm not above you tonight, and I can't see your road from a mountaintop, because I've also been there and knocked on closed doors with raw knuckles. The pattern is real, and patterns don't care whose life they save next. That's why I tell you her story. So, gather what you take tonight, and put it in a stack where you can see it all at once. You learned what the 4 stops were from the harsh mercy. The broken receiver showed you why you missed 3 of them, and took the blame off of you. You learned from the fake green light that you should never obey an emergency again. The 4th mercy gave you the map that was written in what was left over, and the Kairos turn told you when. Not one day. Right now. 1 ring and 5 keys. You should carry them all at once, because if you lose one, you won't be able to get lost again. First, there was the ceremony of the turn. There is no need for candles or a worship space. 1 second and your own breath are all you need. Here is the step by step. Let your hands rest open on your lap with the palms facing up. This is the same position you had when you put down the old map. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. As you do this, picture the narrow road one last time. Picture yourself on it. A long way behind you, there were 4 markers that showed where the road was blocked. You can now see what they were. 4 guardrails, 4 mercies, a fence made by loving hands. And where the road turns ahead of you, there is light you haven't seen yet. Not bright light, but morning light. Normal, dependable, and patient morning light on the one path that has been through everything. Hold up that picture and look for one thing you missed. There are tracks on the road ahead in the morning. Someone has been through what you're going through before you. All of the people who turned on their 4th try have worn the path smooth, in the middle with the weight of their new lives. There's nothing new about you. You are turning in. Say the new phrase inside your head as you let out a breath. I was never stopped. I was being led. Feel how those words make you feel. For many, it's the chest, where the old stone of anger used to sit. Just let the warmth stay where it is. At that point you'll stay put. Put your hand flat on that spot, and say the sentence again, every time the fog tries to come back, or an old door tempts you to knock again. People remember ceremonies for a long time after their minds have forgotten about them. That's why we used breath and palms along with our ideas. Now, before the statement, let's say thank you. Because being thankful is the only real way to react to what you saw tonight. Just be quiet with me for a moment and acknowledge it. 4 times. Someone wouldn't let you throw away your future. Heaven thought 4 times that your destination was worth the crash. You didn't know. You now know. Thanks. The kind of low, shocked thanks that Balaam must have felt while he was on his knees in the dust. next to the animal that saved him. Even if those 2 words are all you can say tonight, they are enough. They've always been enough. Okay, let go now. You can't hold on to both the new road and the old grief at the same time. So we read them out loud one by one. I opened the locked door and knocked on it every hour after heaven was done talking. I let go of the weight and the anger I felt while I waited without understanding. I let go of the pain of loss and the charge I made against God in the dark. The fear of wasted years, the pushing, the forcing, and the fake agency that led me down roads with swords at the end of them are gone. I let go of the idea that I was unlucky. I let go of the thought that I was turned down. I released the story in which I failed, because the record was fixed tonight. Let out a breath, not full. Okay, it's not lost to feel empty. Emptiness means there is room for something, and the next season needs space, because what's coming up is not small. Listen to it loud and clear from anywhere. You are the chosen one, and it was worth stopping 4 times to see you. You are the carrier whose cargo caused God to step in. You are the person whose receiver is now online again. Reader of a map written in what was left behind. The person who knows what mercy looks like when it's dressed up as a closed door. You're not behind schedule. You're being watched. You're not lost in the world. You are aimed. You weren't the one who got lost. You were the one who was stopped from going over the edge. Also, held is a word for loved. When life stops you from now on, you won't ask me what's wrong. You will ask, what is being kept safe in me? That one question is what separates a victim from a chosen one, and you have crossed that line. Saying that statement if it's yours. Type here, and I'll respond to the comments below. Heaven has seen people rebuild their lives for decades on 5 words or less. That should be the first sentence of your new record. The sending now comes next. What would you hear if God gave you 1 sentence tonight? That's what I asked at the start of this message. Now you're ready. That is, take it as if it were spoken directly to you. I never turned you down. I changed your route. And I'm not done yet. Then open your eyes and go. Follow the road that made it through. Respond to the whisper while the window is still warm. When you come across the next closed door, bless it as you pass it. Now you understand what closed doors are made of. It's done. If this message hit you right where it was meant to, press the like button slowly before leaving. Not for me. This message will get to the next person who is standing in front of a closed door with bloody knuckles and a heavy heart. You know more than anyone what they would want tonight. I'd like to ask you to share this video one more time. Sharing this word from the prophet awakens the anointing and lets that breakthrough into your network. God wants to use you to change someone else's life. Spread this message, and let the blessing come. And as you listened, you thought of a certain person, someone who always says, "Nothing ever works out for me." Someone who keeps beating their donkey on a narrow road, because they are mad at the thing that is helping them. Someone whose eyes haven't had their 4th moment yet. Be quiet and send this to that person. No reason given. This made me think of the last few years you've been gone. If you're the messenger their path has been waiting for. You probably don't look like an angel. You might think of a friend who stayed up too late and thought of you. Join the thousands of chosen people who come here every night. If you want more nights like this one. This community is for people who the world calls unlucky and heaven calls guarded. And you have a place in it that is just right for you. Just one more thing, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your night. The fog will try to tell you in the morning that what happened tonight was just a passing message. That's what fog does. So, tonight leave yourself proof the list of what made it through, the phrase in the comments, your open palms, and the quiet choice you made about which door to open. Feelings don't last forever, and by the 7th day of your signal log, you will have written proof that the whisper never stopped talking. It was only waiting for the static to go away, so it could get this little boost for the days to come. Since the first week after coming back is when the old voices argue the most. When you have the thought that you made all of this up, answer it with the list you wrote down. When the old door rings, which it will, just drive right past it like you would a house you no longer own. This week, you don't have to win every battle. Just sit still for 8 minutes with your palm open and your hand on your chest. All you have to do is keep the receiver on. Some people can't get back what they give to static when they listen. Chosen one, you've already been tried 4 times. The 4th one found you tonight at a normal time and on a normal screen, just like Chiros always does. You heard it. You turned around. That's the whole miracle, and it's enough to change everything that comes after tonight. Now take a break. Morning will come, and the road will still be there. This time it will be the right one. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary, where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit Out Community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description, and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary, where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.